Today we want to talk about how to charge an object, how to transfer charge from one object to another. In the very first lab that you did this simply by rubbing a balloon in your hair. And so the first method to charge an object is simply by friction, by rubbing the two objects together and transferring electrons that way. But in the lab that you did yesterday, you learned two new ways to transfer charge. One was called conduction and one was called induction. And I want to go over these so that you understand exactly what happened. So with conduction, this is when you took your electroscope and then you rubbed the balloon in your hair and you got negative charges on it, and then you actually touched the balloon to the loop on the top of your electroscope, and what you should have seen is that the foil strips should have separated, because what happened is that the electrons from the balloon got transferred here, and because all of the electrons wanted to rush away from the negatively charged balloon, they all ended up down in the foil strips. When both of the foil strips had negative charges on them, they're going to repel and they're going to go apart from each other. So conduction is when you charge an object by actually allowing it to touch or to come in contact with something that already has an electric charge. So here, the balloon had the electric charge, you're transferring it to the electroscope, and then the foil gets the negative charge, and then the foil strips are going to be separated. So with conduction, the important thing to realize is that the object you are charging is going to get the same charge as the object that you are using. So if you're using an object with negative charge, then the object that you're trying to charge is also going to end up with a negative charge. Now, the other method of charging something is induction, and it's a little harder to understand, but let me see what I can do to help you. Okay, so with this one, you know that when you just bring the balloon close, that all of the electrons that were already present up here are going to run away down to the bottom of the strips, because they're trying to get away from these negatively charged electrons up here. So without actually touching it this time, what you did was you were supposed to bring it close but not touch it, and then touch it with your hand while just holding the balloon close to it. What that allows to happen is that the extra electrons are going to go into your finger and then down through you into the ground. Now, the diagram that they have in the book says that you're using a grounding wire. You can use a grounding wire, but in this case, you are the grounding wire. And so all of these electrons go through you and down into the ground. And so what ends up eventually then is, because you have taken all of the extra electrons, you're leaving the electroscope with an excess of positive charge. So now the two foil strips have positive charge on them, and once again, they are going to repel one another. So with induction, you're charging the object without direct contact between the object that you're using and the object that you're attempting to charge. But the difference between the two is that now with induction, the object that you are charging is going to get the opposite charge of the object that you're using. So the object that you're using has negative charge, and the foil strips ended up with a positive charge. And you remember with the conduction, the balloon had a negative charge and the foil strips had a negative charge because they were in direct contact with each other and just had a direct transfer. So those are the three different ways that you can charge an object.